A man's ego is his armor, but that armor can be fragile. Society teaches men that their worth is directly tied to their ability to succeed, whether in their career, finances, or relationships. From a young age, boys are conditioned to equate achievement with identity. They hear messages like, "Be a winner, don't be weak," and "Real men don't fail." As they grow older, this belief only strengthens, making failure not just a setback, but something that threatens their very sense of self. The truth is, most men live with a silent fear of failure. They may not talk about it, but it's there, constantly whispering in their minds, "Am I enough? Am I doing enough? What if I fail and everyone sees me as weak?" Unlike women, who are often encouraged to express their doubts and seek support, men are taught to internalize them. They don't want to appear vulnerable, so they push through even when they're struggling. The pressure to always be strong can make them hesitant to take risks or admit when they're struggling. This fear of failure also affects relationships. A man who feels he is not succeeding in life may pull away emotionally, withdraw from conversations, or even lash out in frustration. He might avoid discussing financial struggles, work stress, or personal doubts, fearing that his partner will see him as weak. When men feel like they are not winning at life, they may compensate by becoming overly defensive, aggressive, or distant. This is not because they don't care, it's because they are protecting their sense of identity. Women often misinterpret this behavior. They may think their partner is uninterested or doesn't care, when in reality, he is battling internal fears he doesn't know how to articulate. That's why it's so important to create an environment where failure isn't seen as shameful, but as a stepping stone to growth. Men need to feel safe enough to share their worries without feeling judged or less than. A powerful way to support the men in your life is by reinforcing the idea that their worth is not just tied to external success. Instead of focusing solely on achievements, acknowledge their efforts, resilience, and character. A simple, "I appreciate you," or "I see how hard you're working," can mean more than you realize. It helps counteract the societal conditioning that tells men they are only as valuable as their latest accomplishment. It's also important to encourage open conversations about failure. When a man feels like he can admit setbacks without being seen as weak, he becomes more willing to take risks and grow. Rather than offering immediate solutions or criticisms, sometimes the best thing you can do is listen. Let him know that failure is a normal part of life and that it doesn't define who he is. By understanding this hidden struggle, you can help the men in your life move beyond the fear of failure and step into their true potential. When they feel supported, they don't just become stronger individuals, they become better partners, fathers, and leaders. From an early age, men are taught a powerful but dangerous lesson. Emotions are a sign of weakness. Society has ingrained in them the belief that expressing sadness, fear, or vulnerability makes them less of a man. They hear phrases like "man up," "don't cry," and "be tough" so often that they start to believe it's the only way to be respected. The result? A lifetime of emotional suppression that can create stress, frustration, and even resentment. Unlike women, who are often encouraged to talk about their feelings, men are conditioned to keep theirs locked away. This isn't because they don't experience deep emotions. It's because they've been told they shouldn't show them. When a man faces difficulties, whether it's stress from work, struggles in his relationship, or personal doubts, he often keeps it to himself. He doesn't want to appear weak, even to the people he loves the most. The problem is, bottling up emotions doesn't make them disappear. Instead, they build up like pressure in a bottle, waiting for the moment they explode. This can lead to emotional outbursts, mood swings, or even shutting down completely. A man who doesn't feel safe expressing his emotions may become distant, irritable, or withdraw from conversations altogether. He may feel misunderstood, not because he doesn't want to connect, but because he doesn't know how. For many women, this emotional wall can be frustrating. They might wonder why the men in their lives seem disconnected or unwilling to open up. It's easy to assume they don't care, but in reality, they are struggling with years of conditioning that have made them afraid to be vulnerable. They may want to express what they feel, but they simply don't have the tools or the confidence to do so. One of the most important things a woman can do is create a space where a man feels comfortable sharing his emotions. This doesn't mean forcing him to talk or pushing him to open up before he's ready. It means showing patience, understanding, and reassurance. Sometimes it's about listening without judgment rather than offering immediate solutions. Men need to know that their emotions are valid and that expressing them won't make them appear weak or less respected. Encouraging emotional expression also means recognizing the different ways men communicate. Not all men will sit down and have deep, heart-to-heart conversations right away. Some express their emotions through actions, humor, or even moments of silence. The key is to pay attention and create an environment where they feel safe enough to gradually open up in their own way. When a man realizes he doesn't have to hide his emotions to be strong, everything changes. He becomes more confident, more connected, and more present in his relationships. Suppressing emotions doesn't make a man stronger, it makes him isolated. True strength comes from acknowledging emotions, understanding them, and having the courage to share them with the people who matter most. Men may not always say it, but they crave validation just as much as anyone else. The difference is that many of them have been conditioned not to ask for it. Society tells men they should be confident, independent, and self-sufficient, which makes them feel like they shouldn't need reassurance or appreciation. But deep down, they do. Every man, no matter how strong or successful he appears, wants to feel valued, respected, and admired, especially by the people closest to him. At a young age, boys are encouraged to achieve, compete, and prove themselves. They learn that their worth is often measured by their accomplishments, whether in school, sports, or later in their careers. Because of this, many men unconsciously seek validation through external success. They work hard to provide, to win, to be the best at what they do, hoping that their efforts will be recognized. When they don't receive that recognition, they may feel unseen, unappreciated, or even unimportant, even if they never voice these feelings. One of the biggest misconceptions is that men are naturally confident and don't need reassurance. The truth is, many men struggle with self-doubt just like anyone else. The difference is that they are less likely to express it. A man who feels undervalued may withdraw emotionally, become defensive, or even seek validation in unhealthy ways. He might bury himself in work, seek admiration from others, or lose motivation altogether. He may not say, "I need to feel appreciated," but his actions will often show it. The good news is that validation doesn't have to come in grand gestures. It's often the small things that make the biggest difference. A simple, "I appreciate you," "I'm proud of you," or "I see how hard you're working" can have a huge impact. Men want to know that their efforts matter, not just in their careers, but in their relationships, their families, and their everyday actions. This need for validation is especially important in romantic relationships. Many women assume that because their partner is strong and capable, he doesn't need to hear words of encouragement. But in reality, men thrive when they feel supported and valued. Just like women, they want to feel desired, respected, and admired. A man who feels appreciated by his partner will naturally be more confident, loving, and emotionally present in the relationship. It's also important to understand that men express and receive validation in different ways. Some respond to words of affirmation, while others feel valued through acts of service, quality time, or physical touch. Paying attention to how a man reacts to different forms of appreciation can help strengthen the connection and ensure he feels truly seen. When men don't receive validation, they may start to feel disconnected or question their worth, but when they do feel valued, it empowers them to show up as their best selves. A little appreciation can go a long way. not just in making them feel good, but in strengthening relationships, boosting confidence, and creating a deeper sense of connection. From the time they are young boys, men are taught that their primary role in life is to provide. Whether it's providing financially, emotionally, or physically, society has placed a heavy burden on men to be the backbone of their families and communities. This expectation has been passed down for generations, reinforcing the idea that a man's worth is directly tied to his ability to take care of others. While this responsibility can be a source of pride and motivation, it can also create intense pressure, anxiety, and fear, especially in today's fast-changing world. Men are often raised with the belief that they must be the breadwinner, the protector, and the leader of the household. They see their fathers, grandfathers, and male role models work tirelessly to provide, often sacrificing their own well-being in the process. Because of this, many men grow up believing that their ability to provide is what defines them as men. If they succeed, they feel strong, respected, and worthy. But if they struggle, whether due to job loss, financial hardship, or career uncertainty, it can shake them to their core. They may feel like they have failed not just themselves, but also the people who rely on them. This pressure has only increased in modern times. Unlike past generations where traditional roles were more defined, today's society presents new challenges. Many households now require 2 incomes to sustain a comfortable lifestyle, and women have become equal contributors in the workforce. While this progress is empowering, it can sometimes leave men feeling unsure of their role. If a man's sense of identity has always been tied to being the primary provider, what happens when he is no longer the sole source of financial stability? Some men adapt and embrace a more balanced dynamic, while others struggle with feelings of inadequacy. One of the biggest challenges men face is the internalized expectation that they must always have everything under control. Many men feel they cannot afford to show weakness, admit financial struggles, or express doubts about their ability to provide. They believe that doing so will make them seem less capable or less of a man. This fear often leads to silence. Rather than discussing their worries with their partners or loved ones, they keep them bottled up, attempting to figure it out on their own. Over time, this emotional isolation can lead to stress, anxiety, and even depression. Financial stress is one of the leading causes of tension in relationships, and for men, it is often about more than just money. It's about identity. A man who feels he is not providing adequately may withdraw from his partner, avoid discussions about finances, or become irritable and short-tempered. He may feel ashamed, frustrated, or even resentful. These emotions, if left unaddressed, can create distance in a relationship and weaken the bond between partners. Many women, unaware of the deep-seated pressure their partners feel, may misinterpret this behavior. They may think their partner is being distant, cold, or uninterested, when in reality he is struggling with internal battles he doesn't know how to express. This is why communication is so important. Women who understand the immense weight men carry can help create a supportive environment where their partners feel safe discussing their fears and concerns. One of the most effective ways to support a man who is feeling the pressure to provide is by reassuring him that his worth is not solely defined by his financial success. While financial stability is important, it is not the only measure of a man's value. His presence, his love, his guidance, and his character are just as, if not more, important than his ability to bring in a paycheck. Many men need to hear that they are appreciated not just for what they do, but for who they are. A simple, "I love you for the person you are, not just for what you provide," can be incredibly powerful. These words help ease the fear that if they fail financially, they will no longer be respected or valued. It's also essential to encourage open and honest conversations about finances and responsibilities. Instead of approaching money as a source of stress, couples who work together as a team can create a sense of partnership rather than pressure. When both partners contribute to financial planning, decision-making, and problem-solving, it removes the burden from being solely on the man's shoulders. It reassures him that he is not alone in carrying the load. Another important aspect to consider is how men process financial struggles differently from women. While women may be more inclined to talk about their concerns and seek emotional support, men often prefer to focus on finding solutions. This difference in communication styles can sometimes create misunderstandings. A woman may want to discuss feelings, while a man may want to focus on action steps. Recognizing and respecting these differences can lead to more productive and supportive conversations. Encouraging self-care is also crucial. Many men neglect their own well-being because they feel they must always prioritize others. They work long hours, take on extra responsibilities, and push themselves to the limit, often at the expense of their mental and physical health. Over time, this can lead to burnout, exhaustion, and even health problems. Women who encourage their partners to take breaks, prioritize self-care, and seek help when needed can play a vital role in helping them manage stress in a healthier way. Another key factor is recognizing that success and providing go beyond just financial contributions. A man who is engaged in his family's life, who is present with his children, who supports his partner emotionally, and who builds strong relationships is providing in ways that money cannot measure. Society often overlooks these contributions, but they are just as valuable, if not more so, than financial success. When a man feels supported, appreciated, and understood, he is far more likely to navigate the pressures of providing with confidence and resilience. Women who acknowledge the weight men carry and offer encouragement rather than adding to the pressure help create an environment where both partners can thrive. Ultimately, the role of a provider is not just about financial success. It is about being a strong, loving, and present partner. When men are reminded that they are valued for who they are, not just for what they earn, they gain the freedom to be their best selves. By working together, communicating openly, and supporting one another, couples can build stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling relationships, where the pressure to provide does not become a burden, but rather a shared responsibility and a source of mutual strength. Men are often seen as confident, assertive, and in control, but beneath that exterior, many struggle with deep insecurities. These insecurities don't always manifest in obvious ways, and in many cases, men go to great lengths to hide them. Society teaches men that they must always appear strong, competent, and unshakable, which makes it difficult for them to openly acknowledge their fears and self-doubts. However, just because they don't always talk about these insecurities doesn't mean they don't exist. One of the most common insecurities men face is the fear of not being enough. Whether it's in their career, relationships, or personal achievements, many men constantly question whether they measure up. They may wonder if they are successful enough, attractive enough, or even emotionally available enough for their partners. This insecurity often stems from societal pressures that equate a man's value with his accomplishments, financial status, or physical strength. When a man feels he is falling short in any of these areas, it can deeply affect his confidence and self-esteem. Another major insecurity for many men is their physical appearance. While women are often more vocal about body image concerns, men also experience pressure to look a certain way. From a young age, they are exposed to images of muscular, athletic, and dominant male figures in media, creating an expectation that they should have the ideal body. Some men feel insecure about their height, weight, hair loss, or fitness level, even if they never openly express these concerns. They may avoid discussing their insecurities because they fear being judged or seen as weak. Men also struggle with insecurities related to emotional expression. Many grow up hearing that being too emotional is unmanly, leading them to suppress their feelings. This creates an internal conflict. On one hand, they want to connect deeply with their partners and express their emotions, but on the other hand, they fear being perceived as weak. This insecurity often leads to emotional distancing, where a man might withdraw or shut down rather than risk exposing his vulnerabilities. Another area of deep insecurity for men is in their romantic relationships. They may worry about being good enough for their partner, fear being replaced, or feel inadequate in terms of intimacy and emotional support. Because men are often expected to take the lead in relationships, they may feel pressure to always have the right answers and make the right moves. If they sense that their partner is unhappy, they may take it as a personal failure rather than an opportunity for growth. Understanding these insecurities is key to fostering stronger relationships. When a man feels safe enough to be open about his doubts and vulnerabilities without fear of judgment, he is more likely to develop deeper emotional connections. Encouragement, reassurance, and open communication can help ease these insecurities, allowing men to feel valued for who they truly are, rather than just for what they achieve or how they appear. Men are often perceived as independent, self-sufficient, and capable of handling life's challenges on their own. From a young age, they are conditioned to believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness, and as a result, many struggle in silence rather than seek support. This reluctance to ask for help isn't just about pride, it's deeply ingrained in how men are socialized. They are taught to be the problem solvers, the fixers, the ones who always have the answers. Because of this, many men feel that seeking help, whether emotional, financial, or personal, is an admission of failure rather than a natural part of life. This mindset often leads to a cycle of stress, isolation, and frustration. When men face difficulties, they may internalize their struggles rather than share them with their partners, friends, or family. They believe that they must figure things out on their own, no matter how overwhelming the situation becomes. This can be especially challenging in relationships, where a woman might sense that something is wrong but struggle to get her partner to open up. Instead of expressing their fears or asking for guidance, men may withdraw, become irritable, or even shut down completely. One of the main reasons men avoid asking for help is the fear of being judged. They worry that if they admit they are struggling, they will be seen as weak or incapable. This is particularly true in areas like career and finances, where men often feel immense pressure to succeed. A man who is experiencing financial hardship, for example, may avoid discussing it even with his closest loved ones. Instead of seeking advice or support, he might try to handle everything alone, which only increases his stress and anxiety. The same pattern often appears in emotional struggles. Many men experience anxiety, depression, or self-doubt, but refuse to seek professional help or even talk about their feelings with those who care about them. They may believe that real men tough it out and that therapy or emotional discussions are unnecessary. Unfortunately, this approach can lead to long-term emotional exhaustion, strained relationships, and even more serious mental health challenges. In relationships, a man's reluctance to ask for help can create misunderstandings and distance. His partner may feel shut out, confused, or even unappreciated. She may wonder why he doesn't share his thoughts and feelings, interpreting his silence as a lack of interest or connection. In reality, many men stay silent because they don't want to burden their partners, or because they genuinely don't know how to put their feelings into words. One way to help break this cycle is by creating an environment where men feel safe asking for help without fear of judgment, encouraging open conversations, and reassuring them that vulnerability is not a weakness but a strength can make a huge difference. Many men just need to know that they won't be looked down upon for expressing their struggles. A simple, "I'm here for you," or "you don't have to do this alone," can be incredibly powerful. It's also important to recognize that men may ask for help in indirect ways. They might not come right out and say, "I need support," but their actions can reveal what they are feeling. A man who suddenly becomes distant, frustrated, or unusually quiet may be dealing with something deeper than he lets on. Paying attention to these signs and gently encouraging him to open up without pressuring him can help him feel more comfortable expressing himself. Another key aspect is shifting the perception of strength. Many men believe that strength means handling everything alone, but true strength lies in knowing when to seek support. Some of the most successful leaders, athletes, and entrepreneurs understand the power of asking for help. They surround themselves with mentors, advisors, and support systems because they know that no one achieves greatness alone. Helping men see that asking for help is a sign of intelligence and resilience rather than weakness can empower them to take a different approach. Men also need to be encouraged to take care of their mental and emotional well-being. Just as they go to the gym to keep their bodies strong, they should be reminded that seeking guidance, whether from a mentor, coach, therapist, or trusted friend, is essential for maintaining a strong mind and spirit. When men understand that self-care and seeking help are not signs of weakness, but essential parts of personal growth, they are more likely to embrace these habits. One way to facilitate this shift is through leading by example. When women, friends, or even other men openly discuss their own struggles and how they sought help, it normalizes the process. Seeing someone they respect talk about personal challenges and the steps they took to overcome them can make it easier for men to do the same. Additionally, the language used when discussing help-seeking behaviors matters. Instead of framing it as getting help, which might make some men feel dependent, it can be reframed as seeking guidance or strategizing solutions. Many men respond better to these terms because they align with the idea of taking control rather than feeling like they are giving up control. Another factor that influences whether men seek help is the type of support available. Some men are more comfortable with one-on-one conversations, while others may prefer support in a group setting. Providing different avenues, whether it's through private discussions, coaching, or even online communities, can help men find a method that works best for them. It's also essential to break the stigma around professional help. Therapy, coaching, and counseling should be seen as tools for growth rather than as last resorts for people who are broken. The more men see therapy as a normal and beneficial practice, the more likely they will be to embrace it when needed. Just as people hire personal trainers to improve their physical health, seeking emotional or mental support should be viewed as an investment in their overall well-being. Ultimately, the reluctance to ask for help is one of the biggest barriers preventing men from fully stepping into their potential. When they let go of the belief that they must handle everything alone, they become more empowered, more connected, and more successful in all aspects of life. Creating a culture where men feel safe seeking support, whether in their careers, relationships, or emotional well-being, leads to healthier individuals, stronger relationships, and a more fulfilling life overall. By understanding this hidden struggle and offering patience, encouragement, and non-judgmental support, women can play a crucial role in helping men break free from the limitations of outdated societal expectations. When men finally realize that asking for help is not a sign of failure, but a pathway to greater strength, confidence, and success, they unlock a new level of personal growth and emotional fulfillment. Men may appear strong, confident, and control, but beneath that exterior lie hidden struggles, insecurities, and pressures that many of them never openly express. They crave validation, but are often taught not to seek it. They carry the weight of providing and feel their worth is tied to their ability to succeed. They battle insecurities about their value, appearance, and emotional expression, yet society tells them to suppress their feelings. And above all, they hesitate to ask for help, believing it to be a sign of weakness rather than a natural part of growth. Understanding these silent struggles is not about pity, it's about awareness. When women recognize these hidden weaknesses, they gain the power to build stronger, more fulfilling relationships with the men in their lives. A man who feels appreciated, supported, and understood is a man who thrives. He will show up as a better partner, father, friend, and leader. But if his struggles go unnoticed or unaddressed, he may retreat, shut down, or seek validation in ways that can damage relationships and self-esteem. The key is to create an environment where men feel safe being vulnerable, where they know they are valued not just for what they do, but for who they are. Encouraging open communication, offering reassurance, and breaking the stigma around asking for help can transform how men experience their relationships and their own self-worth. Strength is not about suppressing emotions or carrying burdens alone. True strength lies in knowing